this here is the camera, so you have to look up with my finger over it.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Very quality video production.
High quality video production.
It's just me on the internet learning how to use a phone camera.
Cool.
Okay, can you please just repeat what you told me?
It's just got the crab's ass. It's the really fishy bit.
This is the view from my front door today. It's just exceptionally pretty. Today we've had some rain with the hurricanes. We haven't had the full rainy season yet. And it's nice and green, particularly this way out to the mountains. It's really pretty. I'm trying to figure out how to hold my camera and record on the move. Do you know what I love about grey hair? I'm heading into the light so you can see. I have one here. And not only is it a completely different texture and color than the rest of the hairs on my head, but it's decided to grow in a completely different direction. And I feel like it's a metaphor for us as we get older, just being fresh out of fucks to give and wanting to do our own thing unapologetically. So when you see grey hairs and they're misbehaving, don't get cross with them. Just celebrate them as a metaphor. So I'm heading down to one of the beaches. Might be a little bit bumpy because I don't have a fancy gimbal-y thing. Just got my hands. So this beach is not far from my house, a short drive, and then you have to walk through the jungle a little bit to get down to it. You can hear birds and insects.
Hey baby, do you want to tell everybody what the channel's about? I have to do that. Oh, but making cute dog videos would be so much easier, wouldn't it?
So I suppose it's important to cover why I'm starting this YouTube channel, and it's because I've spent the last 10 years or more working in health, and of that I've spent 7 years working more specifically in women's health. And I came to women's health, actually, it's a really interesting story, because when I was at university, I wasn't really interested in women's health, and that's because it kind of, the focus was on fertility, and I wasn't particularly interested in fertility. But what I've come to learn is that women's health actually is so much broader than fertility. And I have worked in fertility and it was really fun, but there are some people I studied with who just lived and breathed helping people make babies, and it wasn't my bag in that sort of a way. And so I thought I'm going to go into pain management, because I've always been really fascinated by the human body and how it works. And so I went to work in a chiropractic clinic, and I spent time working with people recovering from injuries and managing pain. And what I discovered through that process was that women were just accepting as normal these horrible hormonal symptoms, just thinking that was kind of like the price point, the entry point for being a woman, was having to suffer every month through hormonal hell, basically. And if they weren't struggling, they were on the pill. And when I asked them why they'd been put on the pill, it was never for reproduction. Well, maybe like 1 in 100 was for reproduction. All the rest were because, well, when I was 15 or 16, I had acne, or I had like painful periods, or I had heavy periods, and they'd just been put on the pill. And some of them had had their natural reproductive cycles suppressed for over 15, 20 years. And when they come off wanting to, this is where fertility comes in, when they come off wanting to have a baby, sometimes their period doesn't come back straight away. And so that's how I started getting more into women's health. And then I had my own challenge with a recurrent UTI that was like a 7-year battle. So I'd always been kind of prone to UTIs, and I've since found out some of them would have been UTIs and some of them were not. They were fake UTIs. But I actually had to go and find my own answers, because the doctors, when I was having recurrent UTIs, they were doing everything they could, but it was basically just more antibiotics was the answer, and telling me to wipe front to back. And I'm like, you know, I'm not 3, right? So I was at the point where they were saying, well, you will have to just start taking prophylactic antibiotics, or taking just in case antibiotics, taking them every day, or taking them after certain things that are triggers like sex. And for some people, I realize this isn't a speech about UTIs, but for some people that's actually a good treatment. That can be the thing that gets their life back. But I didn't feel that I was there yet. And so I went and I started doing some more specialized studies into the urinary microbiome, the vaginal microbiome, and those systems. And through that process, I started to learn more about perimenopause and menopause, because due to the hormone changes at that time of life, urinary and vaginal symptoms can become more prominent, even for people that have never had them before. And so I started to learn more about this midlife women's health area, and I was like, ooh, it's pretty shit. There's not great support for women. And so I became quite passionate about the topic. And then, you know, coincidentally, I'm 44. I turned 44 this year. And so I'm headed into perimenopause myself. And what I've come to understand through the work that I've been doing is that every woman's journey is a little bit unique and a little bit different. And there's some really common themes, and there's some foundations to health that apply to everybody. But after that, there's a lot of nuance in how you put together a plan and a system to make sure that that woman is supported while she's going through this massive hormonal and neurological restructuring, a second puberty, which is what perimenopause is. And so I thought, if I can share my journey and what I'm going through, not only like physiologically, what changes I'm noticing, what things I'm using that are helping, but I can also talk about my clients and share what's working for them. And I can also share how I'm balancing it with my life, because I run a business and I have 2 children, 2 daughters. It's going to become like hormone city in my house soon. My eldest has just turned 13. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out, and I can share that, and hopefully in the process help other people. And another reason is because I had a physical clinic in Australia, and when we moved overseas, I had to close that and leave it behind. I had just started to do 1 day a week online after I'd done the training in the vaginal and urinary systems. I thought, this is something that I can do with women all over the world, and it's an area that's really under-resourced. And so I started doing 1 day a week online, working with those clients. And so when we moved overseas, I thought, well, I can either open another clinic, but if we head back to Australia or we head somewhere else, I will have to leave that business again. And so I decided, I think I've got dog hair on my lip. I have dog hair everywhere, as you'll come to learn. My life is very dog-centric. That if I went all in on online, then that business can travel with me wherever. And so it's different when you build and run an online business, because when you run a physical business, your clients and patients are just people who you meet in your daily life. They're people you meet in the coffee shop, they're the parents of other kids at school, and they start telling their friends, and it just kind of grows organically like that. But when you're running an online business, the interactions that you have with people that you can help happen online. And I've spent a lot of time on Instagram, and I think that particularly the space that I'm in now is Instagram is really short form content, and so you have very little time to catch and keep attention, and as a result you have to sort of do things like write hooks that are quite controversial, and you are constantly competing for attention, and there's no room in there for nuance, and you have to say like the top 5 things for this, or never do this if you want this. That's what psychologically stops the scroll, stops people and holds their attention, and I hate that. And I resist and I resist and I resist, and I put out all this information, no one looks at it, and then I'm like, oh, just try like a clickbaity sort of a hook, and then that's the one that gets traction. And so you have to kind of give them what they want, and then, what do they say? Sell them what they want and give them what they need. So I have to play into that a little bit, but so many times I would love to just be able to discuss the nuance behind something. And this here is a platform where I feel that I can get into that, where I can say, this is the top 5 things, unless you have all these things, which is really, it's my signature answer when someone asks me. My patients will send me a message and be like, oh, hey, is bone broth good? And I'll be like, well, it depends. That's my answer for everything, because everything, one man's medicine is another man's poison, as they say. And so, you know, bone broth, it's excellent for your gut and your joints and your skin, unless you've got a problem with histamines, in which case it's really high in histamines and it's going to make everything worse. So healthcare is, always has been and always will be individual. And so I'm just hoping that this platform provides me with more of an opportunity to get into the details and get into the nuance, and in the process help people with the information that I share. And if anybody wants extra help, to be able to find me and be like, oh, I think that she might be able to help me, and then you can reach out and contact me directly and work with me directly. So, oh, and I'm an expat. I live in Mexico. I think I mentioned that. And I live in a coastal town, and it's really pretty, and there's always cool stuff going on. And so this also gives me an opportunity to share kind of a BTS of what it's like in midlife as an expat in a country where you're learning the language. We've been here 3 years. I speak pretty good Spanish now, passable, but I'm really working to become as close to fluent as I can possibly be. And there's a lot of stuff that I can showcase and bring you guys along for the ride. And that is why I'm making a YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe. I have to get used to saying that, don't I? Told my poor husband he's not allowed to eat his lunch because everything is now content. So this is a tostada, and if you're Australian, what we grew up with is tacos, the old El Paso crispy shell taco. It's not a taco, you've been lied to. It's a tostada, which is a tortilla that's no longer fresh. They fry them and then they go crispy, like these, like this. And so you load it up. It's my literal favorite thing in the world. You load it up with whatever you want, basically. But my husband here vows and declares that they're, what, annoying?
No, they just self-destruct when you
They
bite
self-destruct when you bite them, but that's because he's got a very even and strong bite. But anyway, I'm gonna video it because
them. And
I'm a
what's the
YouTuber.
path of self-destruction?
I'm a YouTuber now. Here we go. Oh, there's that ASMR as well. Look at this channel, just delivering so much goodness. On our morning walk, we're just waiting to be told we can have a drink. Okay. Come down to the mirador. That's Chawe Beach over there on the other side of that little pier. And then this way we've got the marina and the mountains. There's a little boat going out today. So it's a little bit grey-green. When the sun's up high, it's a really pretty blue. But this morning, we've got a moody grey-green. There's an iguana in this pot. Just having, I don't know what he's doing. Having a sunbake. Oh, he doesn't like my presence. Off he goes. Where are you off to, mate? Thought we could get a closer look at him, but he's skedaddled. One of the best things, if not the best thing you can do for yourself in your 40s is to start eating at least 30 grams of protein for breakfast before 10 a.m. This is my husband's barbecue pork ribs in the slow cooker. It's super simple. All you have to do is mix up the sauce ingredients using a stick blender, cut the ribs in half, rub with salt, and then add everything to the slow cooker. I'm having to record a voiceover audio on these videos because for some mad reason I didn't talk when I was filming them. I cannot remember why I thought that was a good idea, but anyway, add everything to the slow cooker and then you just mix it around so that it's all nice and coated. Make sure that you get the sauce underneath the ribs as well, and then put a lid on top and turn your slow cooker onto the high setting. Explain how we know it's cooked.
So the meat's pulled away from the bones.
So there's
And
gaps. Yeah.
And there it's fallen down away from the side. So if you were to burn your fingers on that bone or just grab
If you were
the
to
tongs,
twist it, I see. This is excellent video planning that we didn't have any utensils handy. So you give them a twist?
No, not even. It should just lift out.
Right, okay, so that's how you know. But you knew that just by looking at it, and is that because the meat had pulled away from the...
Yeah.
All right, and you at what hour did you lift the lid to check?
At about 4.5.
Okay, cool. And they can go anywhere from 4 to 6 on high? Okay, cool. So from 4 hours, be checking. Just kind of basting it, is that what we're doing? To keep it moist until we need to eat it. We're just spooning some of the liquid over the meat and loosening it from the bottom, and then it will stay like that. That will help keep it juicy until it's time to serve.
Is this like a...